Everyone will rise. We'll have our opening prayer and flag salute. Councilor Blake.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we come here today. We thank you so much for the opportunity that we get to gather here as citizens of this community. And Lord, we just lift this business we have to do of this community to you today and ask you to give us guidance and direction in what we do. Lord, we thank you for the safety of our workers that we go about. We thank you for our citizens. We thank you for all the wonderful things that you're bringing to this community, Lord. And we just ask you to use us in your way. And then we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'll call the April 12th, 2021 meeting of the Newcastle Public Works Authority to order. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Carl Nell.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Joe Covey.
Here.
Marcy White. Here.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action on approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion second for approval of the agenda.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 3, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for any citizen to comment on any matter related to the City of Newcastle Public Works that is not on the agenda. All speakers shall clearly state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person with only one speaking opportunity. Board members will not respond to comments or questions. The chair may end comment period at his discretion, and prior authorization is required for distribution of materials or to approach the board. Is there any citizens' comment related to Public Works? Seeing none, move to item number 4, consent agenda. Are there any items any member of council would desire removed from the consent agenda and addressed individually? All right, seeing none, item number 4, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of the consent agenda.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on any items removed from the consent agenda. Be no action on that agenda item. Item number 6, discussion and possible action on adjustment of utility accounts. Account number 08-4408-00 at service address of 3545 Stonebrook Drive. Dr. Kelly Moore and Thomas Haley continue from 11121, 2821, and 3821 NPWA meetings. Is Dr. Moore or Mr. Haley or a representative present this evening? All right. What's the pleasure of council? Want to just remove from the agenda
How
until
often do we continue, we continue 3 times, right?
3 times?
I think so, yeah. Before.
I say we remove it, and if they want to reapply for that, then.
Okay, we'll take no action on that agenda item unless council has another option, and the applicant can request to be put on. Item number 6B, account number 06-1300-00 at service address of 121 North Country Club Road, David and Tracy Bean, continued from 3/8/21 NPWA meeting. Please state your name and address for the record.
David Bean.
All right, tell us what happened, David.
I had a water leak back in January, and it went unnoticed for a while. I've got it repaired. I've got a ticket here where hot parts to get it repaired.
Okay. So, the leak was in January, you said?
Yes.
Okay. So you had some increasing, started going up, I guess, in your November bill for 20?
I think so, yes.
So that was part of that leak, you think?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you have got it repaired, so I will make a motion to adjust the November, December, January, and February water bills down to the average of the prior 12 months.
Second.
Motion second for adjustment of utility account.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Have you provided the city with a copy of that bill, David?
No,
If you can just provide it to the city clerk. And thank you, sir. Item number 6C, account number 01-1026-01, at service address 1112 Eunice Avenue, Mike Henshaw, Jacob Henshaw. Mr. Henshaw, our representative present this evening. I'll make a motion to continue item number 6C to our regularly scheduled meeting in May.
Second.
Motion second for continuance.
That was the first time on that one?
It was.
Okay. R.C. White? Yes. Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Brian Letts?
Yes. Item number 6D, account number 10-2769-11 at service address of 303 Naomi Lane, Ronnie Thacker. Mr. Thacker, or a representative from this evening.
Ronnie Thacker at 303 Naomi Lane. He got a
State your name for the
bill.
record, please.
My name is Jeannie Thacker. It's my brother.
I'm sorry,
But
guys.
he noticed his bill in January was twice as much as it usually is, so he hired somebody to come out and detect it. They couldn't narrow it down exactly, but they told him the general area. So he found the leak, and then he hired another company to come out and go ahead and fix that. And so he had a real high bill, or he had a high bill in January and then a real high bill in February. So, and I have receipts for Camille.
You say it was just January and February?
Yes, ma'am.
Looks like that Marshall was still way up there.
Yeah, the March one was,
Was
the
it high
big-
too? I didn't look.
It looks like it jumped up in March. Looks like January was a little bit of a bump. It came back down. February, it
Well,
spiked
he turned it
way
off
up,
when he
yeah,
could.
and spiked way up in March. My curiosity is the chance that it goes past March.
It was fixed on February, nope, that was when it was detected. February 24th is when they fixed it. So,
And the bill date, yeah, so bill date was 3/24 on the March one, so that should have been taken care of.
I really don't want him to take up donations amongst the family.
I'll make a motion to, with documentation being presented, make a motion to average the last 12 months for looks like here just of March, but I would say that for January through February, January through March bills.
Second.
Motion second for adjustment of utility account.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
R.C. White? Yes. Brian Letts?
Yes. Item number 7, discussion of possible action authorizing advertisement for bids for filter media replacement at the water treatment plant.
The filter media is needing replaced out at the water plant. It has for some time. And a recent inspection by DEQ, they came out and actually did an inspection of many sites and different things relating to our water department. And the filter media was one of the things that they told the supervisor that you need to get taken care of. So this will basically give us authorization to go out to bid for this. And Sullivan's Engineering will be taking care of this process.
How long do they last usually?
Oh, Lord, those are, I don't know how long I've been out,
Long time?
way before I was there.
It's not like my refrigerator water filter?
No.
Just getting an idea.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the authority to submit for bids for the replacement of the water treatment filter for the water treatment plant.
Second.
Motion second for approval of advertisement for bids.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
R.C. White? Yes. Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Brian Letts?
Yes. Item number 8, discussion of possible action on approval of repair estimates for the Northwest 26th Street Water Storage Facility and authorization to proceed.
The water department has contacted multiple companies to try to get a quote on repairing that water tank. The water tank has a split at the base of the tower. I don't know, probably 2 to 3, 4 inches in length. We went out there and looked at it. A structural engineer came out and looked at it, ensured us that there was no immediate danger of the tower collapsing or anything of that nature. On further inspection by the assistant superintendent, which it was not noticed the first time he went out. The top of the tower, the roof, was actually peeling back. And as time went on, 3, 4, 5 days, it got a little bit worse. So we did get a structural engineer out to take a look at that, and it was also determined that there was potential that there could be contamination from outside, things coming into the top of the tank. So it was immediately isolated, the tower was. No water coming into it, no water going out of it. But we were able to reroute around that tower with the piping of the system that we have. So the companies were called. There were 2 of them that came out fairly quickly and looked at it, one of them being Elite Towers, which is over here out of Tuttle. Apparently they have multiple years of experience and have built hundreds of towers across the state and out of state and things of that nature. They came in with a quote of just under $49,000 to repair. He received, and I say he, the assistant superintendent received a quote 15 minutes ago that finally got turned in from, let me pull it back up on my email. From Nick Gerard. It's Gerard Tank and Steel, and they're out of Kansas. And the quote from them is $43,870. So basically what it looks like as well is both companies have said that they will come out, they will replace the shoes around the tank that actually the bolts run up through, get it leveled back up, pulled over, because what has caused this, according to the structural engineer and according to these companies that have looked at it, the tank began rocking, shifting back and forth a little bit, enough to cause a split in the tank, enough to cause problems on the top, and enough to loosen the nuts off the bolts that go around it, hold it in place. According to the structural engineer that came out, Derek Jackson was his name, he did not believe that there was any kind of foundation damage underneath the tank or around the tank. The foundation of that tank goes out about 5 feet from the base of the tank in concrete. It was probed. He probed it himself, the structural engineer, and he said, you're not going to have an issue with foundation. You got plenty of concrete here. But they will also, they'll drain the tank. They'll also go inside and inspect the tank to make sure, that there's no problems inside, no rust or anything like that. If there is, then we're talking a refurbish of that tank, where they'll have to recoat it and things of that nature. So what is...
Significantly more than this.
It could be a lot more expensive, yes. Still not the expense of replacing a tank at about $1 million. So,
Do we know at all what, we know the rocking has caused the delamination and caused the bolts to back out. Do we know what initially caused the start rocking?
we don't. The only thing that we can figure is the winds. I mean, the storms that we've had. That's about the only thing that he could come up with, a structural engineer. I mean, as far as, unless ground was shifting at some point.
The ground shifting, they could need that for more foundation issues.
Should have some cracking.
Yeah.
Well, being that enough tile started above it.
Yeah, well, yes, it did. It did.
What's the age of that tower, Kevin?
It was estimated, well, Bill had estimated about 72, but Joe said, no, it wasn't built at that time. Maybe, you were guessing 75-ish maybe, or?
Is late 70s probably, because I built out there in 73 and it didn't get put in until 3 or 4 years after that. Sam Murphy was one of them that was on the council at that time. He
Yeah.
lived right across the street from it. It's on Mr. Haney's property. Or it
Right.
used to be Mr. Haney's property. I believe that it was built probably 78. Could even be as late as 80.
Yeah,
I've had to have some.
40 to 45 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
What is our normal process on safety inspections of these towers? I know this is an anomaly. I get that. I absolutely get that this doesn't happen, but it has happened. And so I'm curious, do we have any procedures or policies in place, or is there any required to go to do inspections for these type of structures on an annual, biannual basis at all?
No, there is not anything in place other than our crews go out you know, ever so often check around the site. But they were out 2 months, according to the assistant superintendent, they were out 2 months prior to discovering this, and everything was fine at that point.
Is it a breaking point? Because that is right where that 2013 tornado was, and, right, isn't that, am I thinking right?
Formed right over us.
Yeah, I mean, so it's gonna have, I'm kind of along his lines is, I'm guessing we probably go inspect that kind of stuff after the storms to make sure if we knew it went by that way.
Right.
Well, it sounds to me like it was been inspected since then, and you were
Yeah.
able to see this rocking starting. This is a long process.
Yeah.
Right.
That, I mean, you get minute
Mhm.
changes that over time will win, slow them, because we're probably on top of the rocking, and probably only, at this point, a half
Fraction.
inch.
Yeah.
Eighth of an inch.
It's an eighth of an inch.
Actually,
so
an
it's
eighth of an
rocking
inch,
right now.
yeah, is what they determined.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was any type of required inspections for towers, if there's a way to inspect that kind of stuff. But
We can certainly, I mean, and I have no objections at all, we can certainly put a policy in place that they're inspected a minimum every 5 years. I mean, something that experts get their eyes on it.
I like that idea. I mean, it's because it's just, I mean, a lot, these are built around neighborhoods that our citizens are in.
Right.
And I know that a visual inspection is one thing, but a lot of times you
Right.
cannot foresee truly structural damage until you get surface damage. A lot of times it's way too late.
Right.
Hey, is your mic on? Because I can hardly hear you. You need to be loud like me. Thank you.
Would recommend
You read, what you?
it. Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right, now Kevin, what would you recommend as far as for the bids? Is that bid that came in 15 minutes ago considered acceptable?
It is, it's considered acceptable.
Have you had a chance to review their references?
No, I have not.
Have you had a chance to review the other references?
Elite Towers is a well-known company. I would have no issues whatsoever recommending them. In fact, that would be my recommendation simply because they are local. And I mean, they're 6,000, you know, roughly 5,000 to 6,000 higher than the second quote.
What do they do anything guaranteed their work for the part that they do? Like, is that part of what they put in the quote? At least for the portion, I know they can't guarantee the tower's not going to have future issues, but at least for their work. And the reason I'm asking that, because if there are issues with any of it, then they are local, and it's not going to, it'd be a little bit easier and faster to get someone back if we had an issue with some of the parts.
Right, and I have not seen their warranty on their work.
I do have concerns with the fact that we didn't receive the bid until almost council time. That
We have to make a decision today without the ability to reference check the other one. I think it's very difficult to be able to award that to somebody that we don't have the opportunity to.
Did we ask them for a certain time, even though it wasn't formal?
Oh, this was asked over a week ago.
Okay, then I don't have heartburn if we're going with the one here then.
And there's nothing legally, I mean, it's best bid, correct?
okay. Entertain a motion.
Joe, you're being quiet. You're being quiet.
I'm studying.
You ready for the vote? You got something else to say?
I'm ready.
I make a motion that we approve the quote for Elite Towers for the $48,474. Yeah, I make a motion to approve that quote.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of bid from Elite Towers.
Joe Evans,
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Tommy Clark.
Yes.
Robert.
Yes. Item number 9, discussion of possible action on approval of submittal of application with plans and specifications for ODEQ permit to construct 3,441 linear feet of 8-inch water line and 1,571 linear feet of 6-inch water line to serve Fox Hollow Phase 4.
And this is basically just a DEQ submittal to construct as we go through
Any public comment concerning this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve item number 9.
Marcy White? Yes. Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yep.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 10, discussion and possible action on approval of submittal of application with plans and specifications for ODEQ permit to construct 4,990 linear feet of 8-inch sanitary sewer line to serve Fox Hollow Phase 4.
That's what I did.
No,
No.
one's water line, this is,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any public comment concerning this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve agenda item number 10.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 10.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Marcy White? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 11, discussion and possible action on number of required utility taps, meters, and impact fees for Delta Crossing multifamily units.
Mr. Peters, Rick Peters, the developer of this, Delta Crossing. I've had a couple of conversations with him, 2 or 3 conversations over the last couple of weeks regarding, sewer taps. And we have been discussing his quadruplexes, that are being built there at this time. The way our ordinance reads, and I sent that out to council, the way the ordinance reads, in my interpretation, and the community development director's interpretation, her assistant, and I think, and Ted has even taken a look at this as well, is that you can't have more than 1 unit per tap. In other words, the 4 units that are a part of that quadruplex each have to have their own tap according to ordinance, because of the impact to the system. Now, it's my understanding that the quadruplex, or at least the ones that have been built so far, and Mr. Peters, you'll get your opportunity here in just a minute, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, if I misspeak. The quadruplexes that have been built, they all come into one pipe and go to the main, the sewer main. But according to ordinance, there still has to be the tap and impact fee applied to each unit separately because of the way our ordinance it reads. Now, you can look at another part of ordinance that is, and that's in, I believe that's in 5207. You can look in 5307, and it talks about the structure, that no structure, you can't combine 2 structures, basically, on the same tap. And that's in the actual sewer ordinance. In 5207, that's the water ordinance side, but it does say no more than 1 unit per water and sewer tap. So there's, in my mind, it was a little bit conflicting. That's why I discussed it with the planning department. That's why I sent it to Ted. Ted's remarks on this is we should continue with what we have been doing in the past. What we have been doing in the past is actually charging per unit. Our duplexes that are built here in town, each one of those was charged per unit. I don't believe we have ran into a quadruplex situation. I think these are the first, unless Cottage Park. I don't know if there's quadruplexes in there or not.
Over by the middle school? I
Yes,
think they're all just 2.
just duplexes.
When I drove through, that's all I
Okay.
remember seeing.
So I don't believe we have ran into a quadruplex situation, but all of our duplexes, we have been charging a tap per unit and not just 1 for the structure. So we're asking, basically what I'm asking for here is council's interpretation. Of course, Mr. Peters is present, and I believe he would like to speak to council, but I'd like council's interpretation on this and whatever your pleasure is.
That's what it's, how do we handle apartment complexes? Where does that?
It's my understanding that each unit, now they do come out into, a single or a double line to the main. And this is the same way in Oklahoma City. It's in Norman. I spoke with Janae about that since she's from Norman. And you may only run 2 lines out to the main to service a 8 or 10 unit apartment complex, whatever it may be, but a tap or a impact fee is still charged per unit in that structure.
Per apartment.
That's what we're told.
Per apartment.
That's what we've done. A few apartments we have here.
That's my understanding. Now, I mean, that's long before me when those were built, so. And according to our water department, the superintendent and the water clerk, yes, we have charged per unit every single time because of the way that ordinance is written.
What two sections is that under?
I believe, I know one is 5207, Joe, and I think the other one is 5307.
I'll read 5207 because I've got it in front of me. It says, not more than one unit may be connected per meter and sewer tap. No customer may make or permit to be made any subsidiary connection of another's unit with his or her water service.
That was which one?
5207.
5207.
5307, that's a little bit more lengthy. It says each residential structure connected to the municipal sanitary sewer system shall pay an impact fee as reflected in Resolution 2005-003, passed and approved by the trustees of the Newcastle Public Works Authority on 9/20/2005, and as may be amended or modified from time to time by resolution by said authority. In addition thereto, the city shall require an inspection of the tap on the connection by the municipal building inspector, and an inspection fee paid in accordance with amounts to be specified by the city council by resolution. It shall be unlawful to use such a system until the impact fee and any inspection fee have been paid and the tap has been approved by the municipal building inspector. So, those are the two applicable
We
statutes.
don't have a separate impact water and a separate impact sewer, do
We do.
We do. And what's the amount of those, Kevin?
The impact on water, I believe, is 1,500, and sewer, I believe, is 12, if I'm not mistaken.
I guess because there could be the instance where they don't need the water and they only have sewage.
Yeah.
Any other council discussions? Moment? This time I'll,
I was just gonna say, I'm for going with what we've done, but I'm not objected to maybe clarifying the language in the future to have the same, between structure and unit, but I'm very comfortable with going with what we've done, but I wouldn't mind trying to clarify the language between the two for future, less confusion maybe.
all right, this time we'll take an opportunity to hear from the applicant, Mr. Peters. Please state your name and address for the record.
Rick Peters Jr. 5307, I think, is the sewer, right? It references a resolution that I couldn't find anywhere. So I don't know what the resolution says. If you read it, it's pretty unclear. It actually doesn't say anything.
Huh?
And the sewer impact fee, at least on our bill, was $18.85 per address. So if it's $12.50, we want to talk about that too, please. Look, it doesn't, whatever you've done in the past, I guess I just want to bring up some facts for those that weren't here whenever we went through the process of getting this permitted. We ran 1,200 feet of water line to the city's benefit. We put in a fire extinguisher to the city's benefit. We ran 8-inch water line for a community of 55 and over active adults so that the city could expand into the water line. We have a $150,000 lift station for future use that we donated to the city. We have about $400,000 in this. It has all been donated to the city. So what we're looking at here is we have 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. They're 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom quads. So my home that I get charged $18.85 for when I built and topped in, I paid the same thing for that with 5 bathrooms. So like doing something because you've done it in the past, there's kind of like a, I don't look at things like that in my business. So I guess we have 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms that we're tapping into 1 tap. We put over $400,000 in infrastructure and we donated to the city. We're just asking for some either reconsideration or relief here because with rising construction prices, we're just still trying to operate. When we're done here, we'll have brought in 70-something taxpayers into the city. So anyway, just ask you guys to consider more than what you've done in the past, please.
In regards to the lift station, I understand that's costly. And I understand the water infrastructure inside the addition and sewer is costly, but that is normal development costs. That every housing developer in the city does that. And I understand it's a big investment, and we appreciate your willingness to invest in the community, but the city does take on those customers and does take on the maintenance of that lift station as well.
Yeah, I hear you. I guess really where I'm just going is what the 4 bathrooms that are in the quad, I guess I'd be looking for clarification on how that's different than a 6-bedroom house that taps in and pays the same fee. Just curious.
I understand.
Well, and the only difference in a 4 or 6-bedroom house, I guess you could look at it this way, is you're gonna have 4 separate individuals or tenants in each unit, or families, whatever that may be, with different levels of water usage and impact to the system. So whereas a 4-bedroom house, that may be, it's more than likely would be consistent unless you're watering the grass or you know, whatever. But that would. But like I said, the reason this is brought to council is for clarification and council's interpretation, because it is somewhat conflicting.
Well, and it's conflicting, and I can understand, and I would want very much to try to, if it was me on your side, but I know you have an issue with us saying, just because we've always done it, it's not necessarily just because we've always done it, it's that we try really hard to be very consistent across the board with everybody that we treat. We've charged that to the apartment complexes, we've charged this, so the interpretation of the city has been that way. And I will tell you, I would definitely be pushing, as Marcy would be pushing, that we clarify that language, so there's no question in the future what we do. So, I do apologize, but I'm gonna definitely be more towards us staying with what has been the interpretation of the ordinances in the past. But it will definitely be getting cleared up because of this.
Okay, I guess I would ask that maybe, can you guys take things under advisement? Is that possible, so that you could read this resolution that no one has read yet and see what it says first before you make a decision, and then maybe even confirm that this is in fact what you've done in the past, since no one could confirm definitively that that is what's happened in the past?
If you want to request a continuance, we can absolutely do a continuance to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
But
other than that, we don't have that resolution in front of us today, and so that's one option if you want to do that.
But you will vote without the resolution otherwise? You will vote without the resolution otherwise?
Well, it depends on what council decides they want to do. We'll either vote or we will continue it. You know, those are the options, or take no action. Then it would, if we did that, then you would have to request to be put back on the agenda for next month. But one thing I will say is, if we do, and I think we should as well, clarify this, and we're trying to clarify our ordinances when we find issues with them as we move through them. But what we typically do is we'll look at surrounding communities and see what they do, and so we can be consistent with what surrounding communities do. And that's what I anticipate we would do in this instance as well. So we'll look at Norman, Moore, Mustang, Total, Blanchard, and see what they do regarding this as well, so that we can be consistent to developers who I know develop in all those communities, a lot of them, and we'll know what to expect.
They may have the same issue up on,
It's gonna be the same outcome.
Cherry property,
It's gonna be the same outcome regardless.
identical.
Yeah, it's probably not worth continuing, so just, I guess, whatever you guys are gonna do, do it, and
No, the duplex.
we'll live with it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peters.
Yeah.
Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right. Any other comments from council?
No, nothing on what we've already discussed, that definitely those two need to be utilized in the same language across the board, so there's not any confusion.
I agree. And I'm sure Janae has made a comment, or made a note of that. So, I anticipate we'll see something on that in the very near future.
As well as price,
Huh?
as well as the price difference that we He was told 1,800 on one.
Well, if that's what he's told, I'm sure that's probably what it is.
Yeah, I'll check into that. I can't guarantee what I said 1,500 was accurate.
Okay.
I don't look at those every day like the water department does, so.
Off of my head, I think 1,500 is accurate for water, but I think what he said for sewer was not accurate.
Yeah, I'll certainly check into that.
Okay. Motion continued.
No, he said he
No.
didn't want to continue.
Didn't want to do it.
Up to council, whatever the pleasure of council.
I've seen in the past, on the last two, just recently, one was Carrie's up there on the trip.
Right.
Yeah.
Building center that she's got in, both of them. And then the next one was, as you was pointing out, the duplexes up here on them.
Estates of Newcastle.
Yeah.
And then the duplexes as well over here in Windermere.
Yeah, and I spoke with Carrie just to, because it was off the top of my head, one I could think of, and she did the same way what we're doing here.
And pay the impact fees per unit.
Yeah.
That seems to be what we're continuing doing right now.
Well, I mean, that's what we have done in the past.
Yep.
Anybody else, are we ready for a motion?
Ready for a motion?
I make a motion, on item 11 that we continue, with the interpretation of the ordinances to state that it's per unit, impact fees are per unit.
A motion to have a second?
Second.
Motion and second for item number 11 that we continue, on a per unit basis for our impact fees.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Tommy Clay,
Yes.
Joe Kobe,
Yeah,
Marcy White,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes.
on that note, I think something needs, I'm looking for definitions what unit means.
Yeah.
Because a unit could be a group of, I mean, apartment complexes have units. Some people refer to a unit as a building with all the apartments in it. Some people refer to a unit being each individual apartment within it. I'm trying to understand why, like in apartment projects, that we would charge a tap fee when they're not tapping more than one time into the sewer. That doesn't make, that doesn't, it's not rational to me why there's an impact fee or a tap fee when they're not tapping but one time. I think it's something needs to be looked into.
I think so too, but my thoughts on that would be that, with that number of units, the impact fee, part of that is for the upkeep, maintenance, and replacement of our plant or our lines. And so to charge one impact fee for a 400 unit apartment complex, that's going to have a significant impact on our infrastructure. And so that's why I think it justifies a per unit basis.
But in the part of our water bill also, on the water bill, how much the water goes into a certain place, if they're tied to city sewer, there's an impact fee that goes along with that for the sewer treatment, is there not?
Not on the water,
Pardon me?
not on the water. There's a separate water impact fee and a separate sewer impact fee.
That's what I'm getting at though, but it's on the bill. If someone is tapped the city's water and they're also tapped to the city sewer, what their water bill is, isn't there a counterpart to that goes to, for how much is being treated with their sewer going out to the city system?
Yes, they are charged based
Per
on water
gallon.
usage
The gallons, yeah.
That's what
or
I'm getting
sewer,
at.
but that is for treatment and operational expenses. Impact fees are solely to be used for capital items. That would be replacement or infrastructure.
Okay,
So I understand where you're coming from. I absolutely do. That's one of those.
I don't think Oklahoma City operates that way.
Well, and I would agree, I would agree with you on the tap fee. That one tap per building, I mean, if they can bring 10 units into one
And they do.
pipe going to the main, then why wouldn't you do one tap fee? But the impact fee, you've got 10 units that are making an impact to the system.
Okay,
So, I mean, that's how I would look at it, but that's why I wanted clarification.
Yeah.
I think it's something that warrants looking into. I mean,
For
that,
sure.
you know, if this was an apartment complex and you're going to, say it's a 20-unit apartment complex, you're gonna charge them $1,500 per unit to tap into that.
Wouldn't you?
If my math is correct, that's $30,000.
Why wouldn't you? The impact of that and the need for the sewer.
I'm just raising
No,
a
no,
question.
no, I'm saying
I'm just
about-
saying, I don't think that other municipalities do have that big of an impact fee.
But he's also talking about taps,
I'm talking about
not
tapping.
impact.
Well, but I'm
Right.
talking, okay. We're
So
talking-
are
we've been
they
talking
being-
about the impact fee.
Are they being charged a tap fee for each one of these impact fees also?
Right.
The amount, when he gave you
That's,
25, that is the impact fee and the tap fee combined. That's why
Yeah.
his amount was different than your amount. He's
Okay.
putting it together in his head.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know that I would agree with. I mean,
I could
I don't.
agree with that.
I mean, they're only impacting that sewer line one time
right.
for tapping into it. If you got multiple taps, then yeah, you're gonna, but still, I think it's something that could warrant looking into to see if our ordinance is in line with other surrounding ordinances.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'll let that one go.
Well, let's move on. We're
Yeah.
item number 12, discussion and possible action on the agreement with Allied Waste Systems, Inc., DBA for public services for weekly pickup at recycle stations and adjustment of cost.
This item is not to address their contract or anything of that nature. If you'll remember, the council will remember 90 days ago, I brought this issue to council regarding the recycled dumpsters and everybody dumping well, a lot of people dumping all of their cardboard boxes on the ground and not actually putting the stuff in the dumpster. Council at that time said, hey, let's, see if we can put up some signs. Let's try to tell people that we've got cameras out there. Let's make sure we get some locking dumpsters where that way they have to break the boxes down and put them through the slots. We did all of that. And Camille, if you can pull that picture up. It didn't work over a 90-day
Mattresses.
period. As a matter of fact, it got much worse.
The pictures are in your packets. And I'm trying to pull it up, but it's not working.
I have had Republic Waste, Crystal Bennett, she has on 2 or 3 different occasions over this 90-day period sent us pictures taken from their drivers when they went out there to pick these dumpsters up. And literally the dumpsters were empty and all the trash was on the ground. And the street department supervisor also sent me pictures. Matter of fact, I think Scott, I don't know if he's still here or not, but anyway, he also sent me pictures where the dumpsters were empty and all the trash was on the ground. So, and also Republic Waste, 90 days ago, I asked if they could give us a trial run on this and bring us out dumpsters and put another dumpster out there for us without extra cost to the city to see how this would work. And they honored that. So it didn't cost us anything, but here we are now. So.
Is there any option for like a commercial company who wants to do the whole ball of wax for the money they can make for recycling it all instead of us posting it and they could pick it all up and everything? I don't know. I'm trying to think out of the box because this is a mess. I'm gonna be a babysitter,
Well, I mean,
but I know people want it.
so Republic Waste does curbside recycling. I mean, it'd be about the same thing as what you're asking. The only thing is, which we went over this, 2 different occasions, and one recently, I guess a year ago, February, all residents would be charged whether they wanted or not on curbside recycling. And the majority that we did the survey on said, no, we don't want it. So-
No, that's not.
That's the only possible solution is we gotta go to a curbside, which that impacts everybody, and it was an emphatic negative across. Now, there's a lot of people that were emphatic wanted it, but as in population, most were against.
So that's not a solution either then.
I mean, but this hadn't been a quiet subject of
No.
content. This has been very loud, and it's been brought up, it's been on most Facebook forums, it's been on people's minds, and everybody has said, you guys are gonna cost, and, but it's terrible.
So what are you
other
proposing?
cities doing?
Or where do you want?
My proposal is that we remove it. That's my thought, simply because we have been going down this road now for several months. And our street guys, we moved them from, as you know, we moved the dumpsters from the fire and police department area because it just completely trashed up the area. Firefighters and cops were out there picking up cardboard boxes and trash everywhere on a windy day. Now our street department workers are doing the same thing, and quite honestly, they just don't have time to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, they're busy. But they can't help it. I mean, it's being blown everywhere over there.
Yeah, we don't have non-windy days.
Yeah.
Did we put up signage of, maybe requesting people break down the
We
boxes?
did. Yes, we did. We even put signs out there that said we have video cameras on site. And we don't. But
It didn't work.
trying to do something.
I know this is important to a lot of people's lives.
It is.
Take it away.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I wonder what other cities are doing. I mean, I know we are not unique with people who don't follow the rules all the time, so.
Same issues. I mean, I have spoke with Crystal Bennett, and she said that the cities that they service, they have the exact same issues we do. It's everywhere. It's not unique to Newcastle.
I just didn't know if anybody found it.
I mean, the only other option might be worth is taller fences surrounding an enclosure, basically. Basically do a man gate. I'm serious. just a
No,
3 foot.
I'm just sitting here thinking, then they dump it outside of gate.
Well, but a man gate where you can walk through it, you're not driving a truck, so it's not big
Yeah.
enough. And it's say 10 foot, 12 foot tall. It's and you can put that, privacy type around it, the ribbons that go through it.
Oh, yeah.
And that would contain it to that area.
Oh, for the
But
wind.
who's gonna pick it up?
Well,
I mean, cause the dumpster people at Republic Waste, they're not gonna get out of their trucks to pick this stuff up.
Yeah, or they'll charge us more. We don't wanna do that either.
but it's a whole lot easier to pick up in that area versus blowing all over the place.
The only other problem that we've run into with this is it's not just the cardboard, it's the styrofoam and the plastic and everything else inside the box that they throw out there with it.
We're doing it every
All their Amazon boxes.
Could we try to, maybe for a month or for a period of time, maybe 90 days, do a real hard educational campaign on Facebook and maybe in the water bills to try to, I'm just so hesitant to take this away, to do something to try to get people to be somewhat more responsible. I don't know, if that's something council is interested in.
I'm with you that I hate to get rid of it,
I do too.
but I know that it's costing the city a lot. So I'm trying to think outside the boxes in different ways. So it's, it's a whole lot easier if you surround it where it doesn't blow it. But again, I do agree with you, someone's still gonna have to pick it up.
And then people will just come throw it over the fence and drive off.
And
And they
that,
will. The
well,
truth
I
is
know,
they
it
will.
could be even people that don't even live here. I mean, it's not even, we can, I don't know.
Well, we'll, think on it for a second. We'll take some public comment if there is any. If anybody has any public comment, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Gordon Harness, 1900 North Rockwell. I was just going to throw out, if my recollection is correct, when the public waste lady was here and we discussed this, at this time, there's no market for the recycled goods.
know.
So these people that want to do it, it's not accomplishing anything at this time. And in the future, it may make a benefit and do something for the social programs
I think
to do this.
convenience has, or it's not necessarily, I don't think it's necessarily people are just desperately wanting to just recycle cardboard. It's that so many things come delivered in cardboard boxes these days, and you can't fit all that in boxes, so the easy place to dispose of.
I think it would.
I mean, that's the easy place to dispose of. That's,
I thought
I don't
I
think
thought they
it's- I
were
don't
capable
think
of
it's
breaking
such a
them
great-
down and wanting to.
I
To
think
do
there's definitely
something.
some that do, but I think the majority of them are really just trying to find a way to get rid of it. I get stacks at my house
Yeah.
that I throw back in my truck, and unfortunately, that I have a dumpster in my shop. But
Well, and there's some, I mean, some of my neighbors have multiple containers and
Yeah.
I don't think they Okay, that was my point. It doesn't
Yeah.
save anybody any money.
No, that's what we do. I even Googled to see how other people are dealing with it, and you know what all the Google says? Every one of them, there's no market, there's no market, there's no market, the system's broken. I mean, honestly, I just break mine down, put them in our own dumpsters, but we have two, because, yeah, I don't know, and I hate to be that way.
dumpsters. I use 2 dumpsters.
I wish,
One Amazon and one
I know.
trash.
All right, one more time. Is there any additional public comment concerning this agenda item? All right, I don't know. I'm torn.
I don't either. Can we
Very-
table it till next meeting maybe and try to generate
What
some
was that?
ideas?
Although he's got,
I don't know. I mean, I know you're the loss, I am too, but
Whatever council wants, that's fine with me. I think though that, I mean,
What's it take to shut it down?
just tell them, come get the dumpsters and get it off of our contract,
And the dumpsters are empty, there's just garbage laying out there.
literally. That's what's been happening.
I make motion, shut it down.
I have a motion to have a second. Now, I will say before we get second, if we do take
Hang
these
on
away,
real quick.
well, if we take these away, that doesn't preclude us from bringing them back at some point in
No.
time.
then they could drop
So
it back off.
this is not an absolute should council vote to,
Right.
to pretty much discontinue the service at the current time.
Maybe because it's ineffective right now and until and if we can find a better plan.
But with
Pull-
Mr.
pull
Holmes
away.
saying that
Right.
there's no market, and Mark's is saying there's no market,
What I'm
why
seeing.
are we collecting stuff that there's no market for?
Paying to do it.
And paying to do it?
It's convenient.
It's convenience for the citizens. Large
Well,
boxes.
but-
But they're not gonna get any better.
I know, they got them worse.
Well, we can always ask for a second dumpster.
We
Well, we've
did.
got
We
the
did.
two.
No, I mean, no, I mean, at their,
If they're not
at
using the
their house.
first one, they're
their
not.
houses. No, at their homes. At their homes.
They don't wanna pay the extra for the extra.
Well,
I say
but
we
that's,
get the names and
that's the
addresses
same
off
as
of the
optional
labels
recycling.
and take them back to them.
That's been suggested.
so you volunteer, is that your citizen volunteer? Here's your trash. We
All right.
found this.
We do have a
I
motion
will
on the
second.
floor and a second. Motion second for discontinuing the cardboard recycling
like it.
program we have with Allied
Joe was first.
PBA Republic Waste.
Do you still want the pictures cast? Scott's doing it if you do.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty simple.
Before we vote, let's see the pictures.
that's what we're working with.
No, it's bad.
I have to locate them here.
Oh, my goodness, Scott, you've had 20 minutes, let's talk.
I don't know the password.
Oh, is it saved on your computer?
Now this is gonna be kind of sad.
Your time to
Or
shine,
you can
Scott.
tell me the password.
And tell everybody on Facebook the password.
Cause that's all cardboard.
Okay, so this
Oh.
was from March 9th.
Where is this?
Street Department?
16th Street Northeast.
Over off 16?
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Because they won't fit in the box, well, the boxes are empty.
Yeah,
Not
Those
broken down.
containers are empty.
that's,
That's the
that's
bid.
the container inside.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I went to the other container,
I'm not
Like-
kidding, empty, oh my goodness.
Wow.
so, yeah, that's what I saw.
John, the street superintendent, had actually told me that he witnessed people pull up. He was right there, witnessed people pull up, take stuff out of the back of their hatch on their vehicle, throw it on the ground and took it off.
I just can't imagine.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Tommy.
Tommy?
Tommy Clay,
Yes.
Joe Covey.
Yeah.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding third-party proposal for construction of BMX track on property owned by the Newcastle Public Works Authority located on the south side of approximately the 300 block of Northeast 16th Street.
NASA has requested to discuss this with council this evening on the possibility of constructing a BMX track on Northeast 16th. just west of Pinecrest Park. They've actually provided a kind of a sketch plat, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, of what this would look like, and they are proposing to construct this track and associated items over on the property that the city owns. I believe it's 10 acres over there, maybe 15, that the city owns over there on 16th Street, just west of Pinecrest. This is very popular. It's becoming popular back when I was a kid, but
I think it had a lull, and that's coming back.
and it's really coming back. Yukon has a BMX track over there in their city, I guess, and has lots and lots of participation over there.
There's easily on a Tuesday night, league night, basically over there, there's easily 150, 200 people.
There's one at, down at the river too.
Well, that's
Isn't
a
it?
pump, it's called a pump track. That
Oh.
one, that's much smaller. That's more of it's kind of like a skate type, but it's anyway, they're called pump tracks. We'll stand there.
And this is a dirt track.
Yes, and bicycle, just to be
Bicycle.
clear, it's bicycle.
Now, question, how many did you say was over there on any given night, or on a given night?
Over at Yukon, there's anywhere from 100 to 200. I mean, it depends on the league night.
When I first saw this, my question is parking. Where are you gonna put all the cars?
Well, that was my first question too. I don't know that our property
That's not enough,
is gonna handle it.
and you're gonna have them on the street.
Right. No, the only other thing is,
Am I
and
right with those numbers?
this is not, nothing is set in stone at this point, but I have been speaking with Republic over there on 16th, Carl Evans, about using a piece of their property that is directly across the street from Pinecrest for parking. I think they have 5 acres of ground there.
To the north.
Yes, on the north side of 16th.
This property goes to here, right?
Yes,
Of course, that's wooded.
Wooded.
right.
It's not, the elevation is not tough. It would just have to be cleared.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do parking all along here. I mean, like I said, Yukon, it's not paved parking, it's just
Gravel.
gravel.
Yeah.
And really grass.
And our soccer fields to the right is our
Soccer field
gravel
over
as
here, you
well.
got parking over there, people can walk
Yeah.
around. I mean, I think it's very doable, and this is just a initial plat that I understand that came with, but I think you could, when I walked it, I mean, this area here, I was surprised. I really thought this was gonna drop. Because it hadn't been farmed. I figured the elevation just dropped way off, and it doesn't. It definitely drops a little, but I think it could easily be cleared. I say easily, the right equipment, it could be cleared.
Is this their ticket to put all this in? We furnish the land or what?
That would certainly be my recommendation, because we don't have anything
Mm-mm.
budgeted for this, or nothing in the plans in the grant or anything. And there would have to be some sort of agreement. Now, they're wanting to bring it under NASA, so that could be added to our NASA agreement or done separately. But there would have to be an agreement, ADA regulations, all of that the city would have to follow.
Who's gonna carry the insurance on it?
Well, they carry insurance on the ball fields out there, for injuries and things of that nature. They would have to do the same.
That's a whole lot more dangerous than that
Absolutely.
ball field. That's broken necks and quadriplegics there.
General liability would cover.
Pardon me?
We have general liability.
Well, but we shouldn't have to. I mean, if we're gonna lease to them, they're gonna have to pony up for a bunch of this stuff on their own.
Well, and I think the city would still have to have, our liability, just to keep, because it is our property,
I agree.
Right.
just to keep us, but as far as the sport and everything else, it would all be NASA's.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Over-
That's why I said in my email to the council that there's a lot of questions to be answered on this.
Chris, is there? Still okay, man?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and let him be the applicant on this.
I'm sorry.
Let's take your name and address for the record.
Chris Connor, and I'm a representative for Newcastle Law Sports Association. Basically, what we're asking for is for permission to utilize city property to build a BMX track. USA BMX is, the sporting of BMX is one of the fastest growing sports lately, as of lately, and it's growing very rapidly. There's a lot of people in this area that do drive to Yukon, and so there's been a lot of talk about it. A lot of people want to do it. On top of all of that, there was hoops that not really hoops that we had to go through, but we had to go through an application process through USA BMX just to even be considered. And for those that don't know, USA BMX is actually building a $15 million facility in Tulsa, and we were one of the applicants that put in. Went through a interview process, met with them, talked with them to even be considered. They granted Newcastle as a hotspot and as a place to put a track if it was approved, if we had the property to do that. The way that looks is they basically, the rendering you see here, all the documentation, they come inside beside us and walk us through the entire process completely free of charge. It doesn't cost the city anything. It doesn't cost NASA anything for them to go through this process. So what you see is just that. It's a rendering based on the land that we've kind of talked about a little bit. Now, whether it goes on this property or not, it can be, talked about or moved in whatever direction we need it to move in. But on top of that, it's not only provides a place for kids, but it also will bring a lot of the STEM program to the Newcastle Public Schools through USA BMX whenever it's in a community. And so they chose Newcastle over Oklahoma City, over Moore, and some of the other places because of the requirements that those places were pushing. And because of NASA and the organization that we have and the total number of people that we have involved in NASA, they thought it was a good fit for that. Basically, what we're asking from the council is approval of property to be able to utilize. There's absolutely zero expense on the city's behalf. It's literally dirt work. It's going to be clearing trees and a lot of donations that will have to go into it, just as if we did on the ballparks, leading up to the city taking that over. So anyway, I'm open to any questions and answering any questions or insight that there may be.
Oh, everybody who rides that park becomes a member of BMX.
Yep.
And is that part of that insurance
Yep.
that BMX provides?
Yeah, USA BMX, whenever you, the way it takes place in Yukon is like, we took our kids out the very first time, it was completely free. You can rent a bike from them for $5, but the first time it's free. After that, you have to buy a membership. It's $59 through USA BMX, which is insurance for that rider through USA BMX's program that helps cover NASA. It doesn't cover, obviously NASA is going to continue to carry their own insurance just like we do at the ball fields for basketball, at the schools, for everything. So the insurance liability will be obviously carried by NASA through that program, but also the riders are insured through USA BMX as well when they sign up. Yes, correct. Yep.
I like it just because it's another individualized sport for kids who aren't team, are going to go all the way with baseball or soccer or whatever. And it gets them outside.
Yeah. And I will say that it's not all youth. Like there's 55 and over classes of adults that ride out there.
Old man league?
Yeah. So
They're pretty salty.
Are they? I think it's good. We have a lot of requests on the community pages for where are our parks. I'm like, every time we turn around, we have a new one. But there's so many different things that people can get into that they don't even know about. So I think it's a great idea. Land space, I agree. The parking, I don't want that road to become a mess. So we'll have to be creative or find maybe a different place if that one doesn't work out. But as far as pursuing it, I think it's a great idea. And $59 per year, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than some sports anyway. So.
You also have your NASA.
do it.
You also have your NASA cost on top of that 59.
No, not in this program. The initial cost for NASA is going to be obviously building the track, the dirt work. They come out and they do a lot of that for us. It'll probably be really low key to start because you're obviously going to want to do concessions of some sort. You're going to want to do. You got to have bathroom situations, things like that. Whether the bathroom situation is going to be ADA porta potties or whatever that looks like at the beginning of it while you build the program. It's Jeanette hasn't got me a grant for that yet, so yeah. No, but so that's just it's obviously going to be a starter place for this community and we've even talked about on this property, if you were to do a mountain bike trail, that kind of tied in with it as well. I know we've got running trails and things like that, but, just different things that we could bring to the community itself.
There's not room over there at the ball field, because we talked about that other space over
We
there.
did talk about that, but I think the problem is it gets into the grant and that was just approved.
Oh.
Thank you, Jeanette, and to the city council for that.
Okay.
But with that plan and everything that was submitted, it would have messed up the whole grant and everything, so.
But we have an option of going across the street.
We may.
We have,
Just for parking. Yeah, as long as we could keep them off that road. That's not very far. I think people won't go to the gravel on the other side of the soccer fields, but I think they would go across the street.
So if you're able to gravel that whole strip down that way, there'd be plenty of parking.
Well, yeah, that too.
And, with Yukon, they've got their parking lot and they've got parking on the side, like Tommy's talking about as well.
Mhm.
So, it doesn't have to be just that initial parking lot. There's a lot of parking that could be.
And they're at different times, if I remember correctly.
What's that, the way that the way it lays out?
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody's there, the same.
No, I meant the.
Oh,
the
yeah.
heats.
Correct, yeah, they're at
So
different.
it's not like they're all there.
No, pretty much everybody will be there all together all the time, because you typically have an hour of practice before they start, but Yukon starts at 6 o'clock for practice, 7 o'clock they start racing, by 8:30, 9 o'clock you're done for the night. Like, everybody's done, all ages are done, and you're out of there. I mean, it goes really quick, so.
So is there an entry fee for when each night you come and race?
$12.
$12.
Yep.
Very cool.
I know in Yukon, there's no entry fee for spectators.
Right.
Okay, it's just for the
Yeah,
participants.
it's just
Just for
participants,
the
correct.
participants. So it's a very low
I like
cost,
that. Yeah.
for people to come and do and watch and do.
Are there like bleachers or something? Do you sit
Yeah,
and watch?
a lot of people bring lawn chairs. There'll be bleachers and stuff. I will say that as it grows, the potential revenue for the city is huge with how many people can possibly be brought in for that. Obviously, in that sake, we would, parking just like it is at the ball fields now. I mean, finding parking and things like that will be things that we have to address before we ever get to that point.
Yeah, sure.
But this is just kind of a grassroots starting, a place for, another activity for our community to be able to offer.
I like that. That's a great idea.
Kind of like the soccer was.
Yeah.
So,
That
all
was
right, thank
great.
you, Chris. Any more questions for Chris? Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we will, I guess, entertain a motion. Now,
What are we looking for?
well, I think we're looking for a couple different things. If everybody's comfortable, we can do to pursue or not to pursue. If there are still some unanswered questions, we would like to get with another community and we can check it out. That's just up to council. If there's a level of comfort to move forward with this, then
That doesn't lock us into the land and all that, as far as, will it come back to decide for sure how it's gonna be laid out? Or if we pursue, then you guys figure that out and,
I think you give, in my opinion, I think if, as council, I think you give permission to the city that we think this is a good idea, and we give them permission
To move
to
it.
pursue it and to do with what they want to do, because it's not costing the city money, it's costing us land.
right, sure.
That'll be just done on the lease, but at that, I think we give them permission to use that land to go at it, and then however they negotiate that, unless it starts costing money, then when it starts costing money, they just come back and.
I would love for them to come back
Budget.
once it's finalized, just so we can see it, not necessarily to approve anything, but so we can see what's been decided before it rolls at least.
so what type of commitment, if we move forward with this, is this a forever BMX track? Is there a limited contract?
Well, I think with the work that's gonna be done, there's gonna be some significant donated work that you at least have to give, as long as they're willing to run it, the opportunity to run it. Now, if it just falls down and becomes where nobody is organizing it and running it, then it's not just forever that was, but if it falls, you know what I mean?
So
I
we,
just think,
if it felt to just a repair wasn't being used, then council could say, we want to
Yeah.
cease this operation.
I
Sorry.
want to make sure that was in whatever agreement we
Absolutely.
have with that.
I agree. I agree. Because that's, I think, the same thing with ball fields, in that
Right.
contract, we have ball fields. Council has, the right, if it's not
Yeah.
being ran, if there's things being done that is not above reproach, is not in line with the city, that we have the right to go and take control of all that back over.
I agree.
So we're just giving use of land, in my opinion.
I think it's a great idea. I think it would be.
No, I've,
Really
said I've
neat.
witnessed it, I've been out there, my son, of course, he's not competing, he just goes out there for exercise. And it's great, I mean, because of all, I mean, you get kids out there who've never rode before, and they're pushing around, there's a lot of, I thought it was a very neat thing, the first one, so. I like it.
If you want to table it for like just till the next meeting, I'm happy to look at an agreement with them that addresses some of those issues.
That, I mean, that would probably not be a bad idea to actually have an agreement to vote on.
I think you need to look at the zoning issue of this thing. You're putting a public facility out there in the middle of this. I'm not so sure that doesn't need to go to planning commission for a hearing before we do that, because I got to reading any public facility, even like our new, wastewater treatment plant, our fire station that we've already purchased property for, all of that should have gone to the planning commission for public hearing on public facilities before we go to approving those things. If you look in your zoning code, any public feature, even the new park and stuff, should have gone to planning commission for public hearing for people to be able to voice an opinion on it before council can approve it. I can find it for you right quick, but it's in there. So, we may be moving a little bit, you all may be moving a little bit fast on this to get it approved. You might want to check your zoning and make sure you can do it without.
And I don't have a problem with that at all, I think it needs, it's gonna be an impact on the surrounding neighborhood.
There's not a whole lot of homes around there, but still
There is-
doesn't mean
there
they're
is
not
a-
gonna be impacted with
Yeah.
the traffic, stuff like that.
No, it's gonna be.
Now, that house above the soccer field is way up in the air, soccer, and they've got their own parking lot down.
Oh, yeah.
They're not affecting that house right there. But this is on the same
Yeah.
elevation with it, and
The only time we've had that house call, pretty sure it was that house, was when they had temporary lights out there at the soccer field.
Oh,
And he just asked, he goes, man, I love seeing them out there. He goes, he just asked if when they move, they point the lights in a little different direction where it's not flood his house out. And that'll be, because BMX is typically evening, so there will be a need for lights, of some sort, and that'll need to be addressed. So I think we absolutely need to notice before we do much. I agree with that, Joe. Just make sure
I'll find it and send it to, reading that just this afternoon.
Well, that's not necessarily any need to continue it. We can bring it back on the agenda at any time. So we'll, if council pleasure, we'll take no action on this agenda item and we will address it, in the future. There'll be no action on item number 13. Item number 14, discussion and possible action on approval of request by Lisa Sweet for residential establishment of utility account with the city of Blanchard at service address of 1008 North County Line Road in the city of Newcastle.
Yes, they are here. I am not aware of this one. I didn't talk to them, so I'm not real sure who did.
All right, Mr. Sweet, you the applicant, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record.
James Sweet, 1008 North County Line Road, Newcastle. We just want to get on the city water and get off of our well water for personal use inside the house.
Okay.
That's what we're asking for.
And so you're asking to be allowed to connect to the city of Blanchard's water supply?
Yes, sir.
Have you talked with the city of Blanchard about that?
No, I'm not aware of it.
Yes, I called them and they said to come and get.
Please approach the podium, please.
Sorry.
I told him we should come and. I'm Lisa Sweet, and I did call the city of Blanchard, and they said to come to Newcastle and get a letter of permission, and then they told me what it would cost to bore under the road, and install a meter. Cause our well water is ruining, it's just getting more hard.
Yeah.
And we've gone through water softeners, so we just wanna try that. And the neighbors on either side of us are hooked up to Blanchard.
Okay. So they've got individual bores coming over under the road.
Yes, we would pay to bore under the road.
Okay. I have no problem with it. We don't have water service in that area, and if Blanchard's willing to provide that supply, then I have no issues at all with that.
So should I come back and get a permission letter from someone at the city hall or?
Well, we
The
will,
last time I gave, the minutes to the applicant, yeah.
we will make a motion, to approve or deny it, in just a few minutes, and then that should be enough for the city of Blanchard to, move forward if it's approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or concern? Any other public comment concerning this agenda item? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and second for approval of item number 14.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Marcy White? Yes. Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Wayne Cobb?
Yes.
Ron Lee?
Yes. Item number 15, discussion and possible action on approval of water availability contract with Better Earth Solutions LLC. Be no action on this item. Our last action was to have the city attorney and the city manager develop a contract, and that is not complete based on what I've been told, so we have nothing to address. Item number 16, monthly treasurer's report.
Yeah, I'll start off with our sales and use tax for this month came in at $699,000. Just a little above our average so far this year. The average has been $694,000. So at this point, we are sitting at 47% ahead of our budgeted sales and use tax amount. Kevin and I did discuss it on your budget amendment this month. I am adjusting those to match more of our realized receipts and such. So those will be a little bit different as far as percentages wise next month. At this point, for our expenditures, we should ideally be sitting at 75% through this point, 75% execution that is. All of our individual departments' operating budgets are operating either within that 75% or very, very close to it. So they're running along schedule. Our revenues are continuing to run well ahead of our budget expectations, again, due to sales and use tax, since we had budgeted conservatively. Our overall expenses, which includes any of our capital projects or any of our purchases outside of a normal operating budget, are running just a little ahead at 80% on the general fund side. And on the NPWA side, they're running a little ahead at 88%. So just a quick glance at our fund balances. General fund has 4.1. Our fire department tax fund has raised $780,000 to cover the $1.3 million we've spent to have our fire department. Our capital improvement is sitting at 2.3. That's the one that's split between 70 and 30. Economic development has 31,000. Cemetery care capital improvement fund has 55. Parks capital improvement has 75, which, if you'll recall, that's about to be spent up. Fire station fund has 941,000. Admin and tech is at 117, and that's going to greatly cover those repeaters we had to buy. Grant cost share fund is 400,000. The NPWA fund is sitting at 2.8 million. And our water impact fees, we have 902,000. Sewer impact fees, we have 1.1 million. Wastewater plant is 1.7 million. And we did finally, it was in the consent agenda, but we did finally get the final bill from Greenbelt Turf. So we'll be paying that and taking care of that. And that's all I have for you guys. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Good job. Thank you.
Item number 17, general manager's comments.
I really don't have any comments other than the water department has, they've completed a couple of small projects. They're now moving to the bigger project of laying lines in the Newcastle Acres addition on Grigsby. Saw them out there today. They were actually getting started. So they've still been working on the water plant. The pumps have been repaired and all that taken care of. The clarifier there has been, the surveyor, they got the surveyor back out, and it appears, and this was just what I was told on Friday by the assistant superintendent, it appears that the company that came out to install actually shifted the clarifier a few inches off center. It's not dead center, and that's why the scraping was taking place. So they got the surveyor back out. He marked dead center. Now we're going back to the company, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the company that was out there. But we're going back to them and say, okay, look, you have to move this back to dead center where it's supposed to be, and should work. I mean, it should be fine.
Because the one before was in the dead center.
It was in dead center, correct.
And we never had a scraping issue before
Correct.
we got the new clarifier.
Right. So they are working on that as well. And
Is
so,
that a lot of work to move it over?
oh yeah,
That's what I was thinking. I've been over there, I'm thinking, the big round thing?
yeah, a lot of work.
Okay.
All right, item number 18, trustee comments. All right, seeing none, item number 19 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second for adjournment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll take a short 5-minute recess before beginning city council.
You just gavel?
Oh, we're missing. Oh, I was like.
Mike, we used to gavel. You hear that? I've never been gaveled. Yes.
Okay. We'll, reconvene at this point in time. This time I'll call the April 12th, 2021 meeting of the Newcastle City Council to order. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Carl Nell.
Here.
Mike Fullerton.
Here.
Tommy Clay.
Here.
Joe Covey.
Joe Covey.
Pardon me?
Are you here or there?
Joe Covey.
Here.
Marcy White. Here.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action on approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion second for approval of the agenda.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 3, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for any citizen to comment on any matter related to the city of Newcastle that is not on the agenda. All speakers shall clearly state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person with only one speaking opportunity. Council members will not respond to comments or questions. The mayor may end the comment period at his discretion, and prior authorization is required for distribution of materials or to approach the council. Is there any public comment concerning the city of Newcastle? Seeing none, we'll move to item number 4, consent agenda. Is there any item on the consent agenda that any member of council desires to be removed and addressed individually? All right, seeing none, item number 4, consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second for approval of the consent agenda.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on any items removed from the consent agenda. Be no action on that agenda item. Item number 6, Planning Commission recommendations. Item 6A, public hearing, discussion and possible action on recommendation for approval of a use permit on review for a special use permit for medical marijuana dispensary, LPH property, Sean Hugo owner, Tony Hall and Garrett Hall proposed tenants, located at Lot 4, Block 1, Willow Springs North Edition. Property location 2816 Northwest 32nd Street, Newcastle, Oklahoma. Case UPR 2021-002. Is the applicant here to present?
Good evening. I'm Janae Greenlee with the Planning Department for Newcastle. This item is being continued to Planning Commission for the April 26th, 2021 meeting because the applicant was not present at the time. So the commission decided to continue it to the next Planning Commission meeting.
That should have never made it to our agenda, correct?
It shouldn't have.
All right. Be no action on item number 6A.
It's published.
Okay. Do we need to, we don't need to continue it because we shouldn't even be acting on it, should we?
Right.
No. If it was continued by planning, it should have never came to council, is that correct?
Well, it was published that it would be on the council agenda tonight, so.
Okay.
It's,
Will need to be republished whenever it gets out of planning to actually be on the agenda properly.
or we
Or
can
continue.
continue it.
You want us
This
to
one they
continue it?
I would continue to the
Okay.
next meeting.
Make a motion to continue item number 6A to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
Motion second for continuance.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6B, public hearing, discussion, and possible action, recommendation to deny application to rezone to PUD, number 852A, Plan Unit Development, to PUD Plan Unit Development for Clark Family Real Estate Investments, Rocky Clark, Oakmont subdivision, located in Section 5, Township 9 North, Range 4 West, Indian Meridian, McLean County, Oklahoma. Property location from the intersection of Highways 37 and 76, go 3,000 feet south on Highway 76 to the entrance of Oakmont subdivision. Case number R2021-002. It's my understanding the applicant has submitted a request for continuance on this item. So I'll make a motion, we continue this item to our regularly scheduled May meeting based on the applicant's request.
I'll second.
Motion second for continuance.
Marcy White? Yes. Mike Colton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Toby?
Yes.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 6C, public hearing, discussion and possible action on recommendation to approve application to rezone from A agriculture to E3 residential estate district for Winnie DeGriffith Irrevocable Trust dated December 4th, 2012, Patsy McMahon trustee, located in a part of the southeast quarter of section 27, township 9 north, range 4 west, Indian Meridian, McLean County, Oklahoma, and for adoption of ordinance number 880, property location 609 and 717, Southwest 24th Street, Newcastle, Oklahoma, case number R 2021-003.
As you stated, this is a rezoning from A to E3 for Juanita Griffith Irrevocable Trust at 609 and 717 Southwest 24th Street. Yes, they're rezoning from A to E3 so they can break that up to each parcel containing 1+ acre. Access there was a comment, public comment. There is a private drive on the west side of this. It's on the corner at 24th, and all access will be taken off of 24th Street. It will not be allowed off that private drive for that corner lot. Staff did support and recommends approval of R-2021-003, and Planning Commission did recommend approval.
All right. Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right. Seeing none.
I might clarify just a little bit on the adjacent street to the west. It is a private easement and not a public street, and it's called Clay Street, but it's private. And this property doesn't have an easement right to it, so it'll be forced to
Okay.
come off.
Any council questions?
Make a motion to approve item 6C, rezoning.
Second.
Motion is second for approval of item number 6C.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Toby? Marcy White? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 6D, discussion of possible action on adoption of emergency clause of ordinance number 880.
Make a motion to accept emergency clause number 880.
Second.
Motion motion is second for approval of the emergency clause for ordinance number 880.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Toby?
Abstain.
Marcy White? Yes. Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 6E, discussion of possible action on recommendation to approve final plat of Fox Hollow Phase 4.
Sewer, water, and paving and drainage plans have been submitted, and the final plat submitted. The ODQ water line and sewer line engineering report applications have been received. Planning staff does support and recommend approval of Fox Hollow Phase 4 final plat, and Planning Commission did recommend approval. And I did see the gentleman here, and he has since left for Fox Hollow.
Must have another appointment.
All right, so this is just another phase,
And it's the final plat.
the final phase,
Final plat.
or
The
final plat of this phase.
Correct, sir.
How many additional phases are there, do you know, based on the preliminary plat?
I do not know. I
Okay.
have not researched that. I can find that out.
I think there'll be two more,
Two more?
I was gonna say.
I think.
Okay.
And I would, if I might note that on this, the engineering, they changed the drainage a little bit, and in the far southeast corner, they've made a detention area and eliminated lots and look here, I can probably tell you how many, but maybe as many, eliminated 5 lots. And provided a detention pond with metered weir drainage. And
appears to be consistent with the
Okay.
overall flow there.
So this has gone through our plat review process without any
That
errors?
is correct.
Okay. All right, any questions of planning department? From any public comment concerning this agenda item?
Yes, I do.
Might make a note that the requirements for citizens' comments apply here as well.
Okay, Spencer Housley, 330 South Portland. The zoning committee had approved this phase of Fox Hollow, this plat with 111 houses included. It was brought to the zoning commission's attention that the schools are having are overcrowded at this point in time, and it would be reckless, in my opinion, to be adding or building 111 four-bedroom houses with the children that would be coming along with that whenever we don't have the schools yet built to accommodate new children enrolling in the classroom. The city council has the duty to the children who are in this city, as well as the children who will be moving here, to have all the aspects in place to provide a good education to these children. And in order to, the reason why this is a PUD, and the reason why they're asking for permission to build is this exact reason comes up. You know, they have to, is it the best interest of the city to approve this? And at this point in time, the only people that would benefit from this is the developers. The children who are here will pay the price for this if it's approved. The children who are moving here will pay the price if it's approved. There needs to be some type of study, or not, doesn't have to pay for it, but just look into what effect this is going to have to the school system. It's really is going to affect it. It is a real problem. And so all I'm asking, and all the people that I talk to are asking, is to look into what the impact of this will be to the schools right now. We need to know how long will it be before they're built? You know, how many children do they anticipate being enrolled as a result of this? You know, what are the class sizes going to be next semester? What will they be if they're not built? Again, there's nothing that's saying that the growth needs to stop, but only that we need to have things in place before it's approved. And there's a reason why they're asking to do this. And this is one of those reasons that they are, because the city council has that duty to make the decisions for the best interest of the city, not for economic, you know, private citizens, the developers who don't even live here, as far as I'm aware. So all I'm asking is for there to be a city, the superintendent, the city or the school district come and say, look, either this is a good idea right now, or it's not a good idea right now. And have us hear that, because what we're hearing right now, at least it was in the zoning commission, was, well, someone told me it's a good idea, or someone else said it was okay, but no one has heard that. No one in the citizenship has heard that, and we need to hear that. And if that's what Superintendent Howe's opinion really is, I'd like to see it, and that's fine if she has that opinion, but no one knows that. And that's all we're asking, is for really serious consideration to be given by the city council as to what the approval of these large housing projects will do to the schools when we can't build yet. That's the concern, and that's my question to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Housley. Any other comment concerning this agenda item? All right. And I'll just make a few comments to address a little bit of what Mr. Housley said. We do meet on a regular basis with the superintendent. We discussed at every meeting from the time she came to the city. We brought her into City Hall. We discussed every housing development that was in progress. Recently, as a couple of months ago, we met again, and we discussed all the housing developments in progress. And she indicated to us that there was no crisis with the schools. She indicated that the only school that she saw an issue of bumping up against capacity prior to new facilities being put in place was the middle school. And they're looking at options right now. There's approximately 5 classrooms available at the elementary site that could be utilized, and they're looking at other options as well. And I have asked her point blank numerous times if she could handle the growth, if the school system could, and she said absolutely, the school system can. Now, there will be an issue, she said, with the middle school, but they're addressing that. So when we look at going through the process of what impact is our housing having upon the school population, we've gone back or I went back and I looked at and did a comparison on the last 3 years of single-family housing permits provided by the city of Newcastle versus the increase or decrease in enrollment to Newcastle public schools. The highest year that we've got out of the last 3 reflected a 0.357 student per single-family housing permit. The lowest was a negative 0.2, which was this past year, which that has influenced via COVID. We all understand that. The 3-year average is 0.267 students per single-family housing permit. Once again, understand that is impacted by COVID. It's anticipated that will swing the other way and probably get back in line with probably that between 3 and 4 students per single-family housing permit. So that's what we're looking at, and that's what the numbers reflect currently. Now, I'm not saying that will not change in the future. And we're also looking at numbers. 2010 census, we don't have our 20 census data available, but 2010 census indicated that there was right at 20% or a tick over of the homes in the city of Newcastle who had an individual 18 years or younger living in those homes. I don't know where that is now. More than likely it trended up some, but we won't know that until we get those figures, and we're supposedly going to get those September-ish.
Yes.
So we'll be looking forward to getting those so we can compare that data as well. And, since schools were brought up, and it's a little bit off topic, I would just like to throw something out there. It came to my attention today that currently the chairman of the House and Senate budget committees have started negotiations for next year's budget. The House Budget Committee has put forth a proposal to increase school funding by $135 million. That is the amount needed to be able to enforce House Bill 1017 and address class sizes. There is some concern on the Senate and not full support yet. So for those that might be concerned about class sizes particularly, I would encourage you to visit with your representative and your senator to encourage them to support that $135 million increase, because that will then trigger House Bill 1017 and the maximum class sizes that has in it. So anyway, it's enough of me talking.
I'll say as a former educator, that's very exciting, and I'll definitely be ringing up. I mean, I've had class sizes when I taught that were bigger than a lot of ours here, and they were fabulous and they worked, but it's still not the ideal, and we want to work towards that. So, but we have a great district and we have great people here, so I have faith, and I know, and again, I stay very close as well, since I was on the school board before as well, stay very close with the district and have my ear to the ground, and I've committed when I started to make sure I let what I know and what I hear and my experience with school districts to start with council as well. So
if anybody wants to fact check me on that, they can go to the Facebook page of Non-Doc, and that is one of the more recent posts, and they can look up that related to the push for funding.
yeah, that's great.
Any other discussion?
One question I have is, before we let this plat out and before we sign it and let it go, there are 2 or 3 areas outside of the plat where they say 10-foot UE, book and page. Have those been, we need to check and see if those are recorded and that needs to be filled in on the plat. Janae, do you know whether that, may I call you Janae?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know if those have been submitted or? Todd knows those been submitted or not.
And this is the UE that you're looking at?
Yes, ma'am. Along the south line of the of block 20, there's, two places where they have easements shown by a separate book and page or by a separate instrument. And the one on the north side of 21, I'm not worried about. That's a continuation of the plat, but those others, we need to make sure we get those and get them recorded before we let this plat go to be for the record.
I will make
Yes.
sure.
Many times they bring those in when they bring the Mylar in.
But we don't, okay, they bring in the recorded ones?
No,
Well, then we can't put a book and
right,
page
I
on there until,
understand.
okay.
And-
So they'll
and
have
you
to come to the
accept
council
them.
before they
Yes,
can,
I-
okay. That's all.
They
I want.
usually don't let me sign stuff until, they usually don't let me sign stuff, even if they bring Mylar in. But Jenny's got it. Any other comment? If not, I'll entertain
If
a
I could
motion.
just respond to something there.
Well, I'm sorry, you've had your opportunity and
Well, I mean, you brought up some issues, and I'd just like a chance to respond to them, that's all. Is that, we have, this legislature's made a standard of the worst that school can be is 20 students per classroom from K to 5.
okay,
We're at 28 to
you had
30.
one opportunity to speak, and that was the rule, the guidelines that were set out, so.
I'm just trying to, I'm
Well,
responding. There's 20
That's not a debate,
There's
sir.
30, there's
It
30
is,
in my daughter's class, there's 30 students, whenever the worst it can be is 20. We
That-
have to have a standard, and we need to try to keep it.
this is not the school board. If you would like to address the school board, then they
But
have a
your
meeting
actions
coming up.
directly affect the enrollment. They work together.
I understand they
So,
work together,
I
and
just
we've
have
worked
no
together at the school, so,
respect.
hey, we're not
I just
gonna
need to
argue
respond
anymore.
to this.
We're gonna
And
move
so
on.
We need to have a standard. We have to say we have a standard. That's all we're asking.
Mr. Hasley, please.
If
We're not-
If you don't want to hear the citizens talk, that's up to you. Thank you.
You had an opportunity to speak, and I gave you more than the allotted time, and we're not gonna entertain from the
Just
gallery.
trying to respond to your.
It's not a debate, sir.
Well, I'd like to see you vote correctly.
I make a motion, on item 6E to approve the final plat of Fox Hollow Phase 4.
Motion and second for approval of the final plat of Fox Hollow Phase 4.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6F, discussion of possible action and recommendation to approve with conditions final plat of Park Hill Villas.
The final plat of Park Hill Villas, the sewer, water, and paving and drainage plans have been submitted, and the final plat submitted as well. Planning staff supports and recommends approval of Park Hill Villas, as well as Planning Commission recommended approval at the March 29th Planning Commission meeting. Ross Morris is here, that did the preliminary plat and has the final plat for a brief presentation.
Ross Morris with Morris Engineering, representing the applicant. This mirrors the preliminary plat that was approved previously on this property, and we're just asking for your approval. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
This is senior living, is that correct?
55 and up.
Okay. How many units? Out of curiosity.
45, I think. No, is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Any kinds of questions for the applicant?
And it's two less than actually what we had on the preliminary plat. We had 47, but we took out 2 and kind of rearranged one of the cul-de-sacs so that, anyway, we wound up with 45.
Thank you, Ross. Any public comment concerning this agenda item?
Is this a PUD?
Originally, yeah, it's a PUD. Originally, it was a PUD with the Cottage Park, and we took it, put it under a different PUD. for just this section.
So did the PUD allow for 15-foot front yard setback?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I didn't recall that. Okay.
I would also like to add, the common area A, planning commission, suggested that it was to show parking, and Mr. Morris made that adjustment on that final plat to show that that is a parking area.
No additional comment, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve agenda item 6F, Parkville Villas, final plat.
Motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion is second for approval of item number 6F.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Tommy Klein,
Yes.
Joe Covey,
Yeah.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on approval of resolution number 2021-02, amending resolution number 2020-01 for increase of amounts of grant request and local commitment for recreational trails program grant.
The, phase 2 of the walking trails out here, we had all that laid out and everything and ready to go prior to the master park plan being completed. Once the master park plan was completed, it changed the layout of phase 2 trails. So that had to be represented, to the state basically and the federal level in order to get the plan approved, the changes in the plan approved. But also it cost the city and a little bit more money and required more federal grant funding. And all of that has been approved. The only thing that we're asking from council is to approve the changes in the funding because it will cost the city just a little bit more money, $6,000 or $7,000, I believe it is, in our, that will come from our grant funding fund, cost share.
Is this the changes that were shown when we talked about when we looked at the master plan?
Yes,
a
pretty
couple
much.
months ago?
It'll include the parking behind the
Mhm.
library, the loop, part of the north road, then where it's gravel now will be paved. And then it'll connect the trail, basically an outer loop all the way to the phase 1 trail as well.
Okay.
Any public comment concerning this agenda item? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve agenda item 7, increase amounts grant request and local commitment for recreational trails program grant.
Motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion and second for approval of item number 7.
Tommy Klein,
Yes.
Joe Covey,
Yeah.
Marcy White. Yes. Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 8, discussion and possible action on purchase of 2021 Ford Explorer all-wheel drive police interceptor at state contract price and purchase of accessory equipment.
The police department had another Dodge Charger go down, and this unit is available, it's on hand right now at Bob Moore Ford under contract price. The only thing is this one is about $4,000 to $5,000 more expensive than our units that we've been purchasing simply because they have the bulletproof panels indoors. But somebody had ordered this, some city had ordered this unit, decided they didn't want it, and that's what is sitting there available. But it is a little over, or just under $39,000 for this unit. And then we will have to buy accessory equipment as well, which is roughly $20,000. So not to exceed 60
Okay.
on the total package.
So we're not getting ballistic panels in the doors of our.
We are not, we have not ordered those, and typically there's not most city departments don't require that or order that.
At one point in time, we were getting those, and that was based on the request from the police chief, but if they don't want it now, I mean, that's.
Yeah, he's not, I mean, he said that they train their officers to basically, they would take cover behind the engine block on the other side of the car. So we'll have plans in our upcoming budget for a couple of more vehicles, maybe 3, if budget allows.
What's the state of what are our oldest, how many old vehicles do we have that we might be cycling through?
We should have 5 Dodges left right now. Our oldest Explorers are 16s. And one of them, I know one of them for a fact, I was told last week has 57,000 miles. So we're still in pretty good shape on the 16.
Is it 16? That's the first one we've been on. Yeah.
Are we still utilizing some Crown Vics?
No.
Okay.
I remember that.
That's why I'm just making sure, like, this is a good time to be doing this with being over what you budgeted to be
Yeah,
able to do it. So this is good. I was just wondering if we were cutting through or if we're still needing to do quite a bit
I
more.
don't necessarily like spending the extra 4,000 or 5,000. But the problem is we do have 2 officers doubled up right now because of that issue.
Yeah.
Do these cars also have an hour meter on the engines? Just out of curiosity.
I bet they probably do in the computer system. I know just the Chevy, 2005 Chevy pickup I've got does.
Cause I know OHP hardly ever shuts their units off, except when they're asleep somewhere, because you can see them in the hot summer, they got the hoods raised up on them so they can get air through there. But I'm wondering, I mean, mileage is one thing, but just out of curiosity, I was wondering what hours are on those things.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's ever even been checked.
Probably not. You say this is a Dodge?
Oh, no, it's a Pullman. It's
Okay. I'm getting ready to tag you on that.
Not that we have anything wrong with.
Sworn off of those, but.
No Dodges.
Oh, wait a minute, we're in public hearing. Okay,
Dodge
never mind.
Charger went down.
Okay, all right. But we're not replacing them with Chargers then?
No, we are not.
Okay, good.
Ford Explorers.
All right.
If this is approved, how quickly can that be in service?
We'll have to wait on equipment. So I would say within 2 months, maybe 3.
Dang, really, it takes.
Yeah, the equipment has, well, everything right now, especially computers, are shipping very slowly.
COVID.
Yes.
We equip these ourselves?
We usually take them to, what's the name of that company, Jeannie, we just used?
Auto accessories.
Auto Accessories.
Okay.
That's the first time we've used him. We've used Wallace
Yeah.
before.
No, we don't do any of this, I mean, because a lot of it is pretty technical.
Yeah.
I will say that with the computerized stuff they have nowadays,
Yeah.
shade tree mechanics are a thing of the past.
Yeah.
So, except for me and Carl.
Yeah.
When you say they're doubled
work
up,
your
like literally on the same shift, or someone uses it on one shift, somebody uses it on the next shift?
No, I think they're actually doubled up on shift. Is that correct, Ambrose, or do you?
One's a day shift officer, one's a night shift
Oh,
officer.
okay.
One vehicle will literally run
24
3 days,
24 hours.
24 hours a day.
Gotcha.
Well, could be worse, but that's still not good, I know. Awesome.
Not to exceed 60.
Not to exceed 60, that should cover us. What are you at?
The cars.
Oh,
I'll make a motion to approve,
Not to exceed
not
60.
to exceed $60,000.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 8, not to exceed $60,000.
Joe Covey.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Tommy Clay.
Yes.
Carl.
Yes. Item number 9, discussion and possible action on approval of asphalt overlay project on South Portland Avenue from Southeast 24th Street to Southeast 16th Street.
this item was actually approved by the council, last year for this year's budget. The only thing is cost has went up and we're getting ready to do this project right now. So we're just coming back with that, the price that was given to you in your packets. That is the most up-to-date calculated cost on this project. Up here just recently, so.
What is the difference?
Can't remember what it is, Tom.
A bunch.
But this is one of the areas where we've been able to acquire additional easement, an additional 16.5 feet on either side of the road. So we'll have a total of 66 feet of right of way to put the road surface, drainage, and utilities. So luckily we had a few landowners around there that were willing to give free of charge that easement to the city. So we can make this happen.
Are we just hooking on to the existing asphalt and going south down the gravel and covering up the gravel, or are we gonna overlay that existing asphalt also?
No, it's just connecting to it right now at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I already asked, because it said overlay project, and so we're gonna use the gravel base that's there.
Right.
We're gonna extend the shoulders out a
Yes.
couple of feet outside the asphalt base.
Yes, we are, and the drainage really has to be worked on that east side.
Yeah.
So, and that's what, and the west side, matter of fact, where the ditch is, the creek.
Try to keep those ditches far enough away that it won't cave into them.
Well, yes, and we've got to make sure, and we made this agreement with one of the property owners, that his pasture, of course, the farmland would drain properly, that we don't hold any water on top of his land there and whatever, so they're taking great care to do that.
Okay,
And we've got to move fencing as well.
okay.
Any public comment concerning this agenda item?
Yes, I do. So I'm requesting that the council provides the names of the companies that are doing the actual work, so we can check for conflict of interest. It's come to my attention that there's been some conflict of interest with certain things, one of which being the subcontractors for large developers. I thought we would talk about that today, but the work for Hendricks LLC doing the sewage and drains and concrete, as well as We Construction, is owned by Eric Hendricks, which is a relative of yours.
Not a relative of mine.
Well, of your family.
Not
And then there's also
if you're gonna
Hendricks.
make statements like
There's
that,
Hendricks
you need to back them up.
Construction.
Huh?
And there's We Construction that are doing the subcontracting.
No idea if there's any relationship.
Okay, well, there is. So.
Well, that's news to me.
Whenever we're looking at these things, we need to see why it is the motivations that people have here. Because whenever someone is asking to take account the schools and, hey, just look into it a little bit more, and it falls on deaf ears, makes me think that there must be something else going on here, because how unreasonable is it to look in closer to the impact that major developments are going to do to this city. So not only we had Farmington up today.
Okay, we're talking about paving Little Portland.
Right.
So that's what discussion's about.
Right. So what I'm requesting is that lists of the companies that are being utilized by the developers. One moment. By the developers, I'd like to see. We need to see what the subcontractors, who the developers are using for the subcontracting of these large developments.
That has nothing to do with South Portland. That's what we're discussing right now.
So that's my
Paving South
request, is we need to start looking into the conflict that the members may have or may not have based on their decision making.
And in the future, if you're going to make blanket statements accusing a conflict of interest, then it would be nice if there was some proof. I have no relationship.
Would you like to go back up and prove it?
Huh? With We Construction? Show, I mean, absolutely. Show me how I am related to We Construction.
I didn't print it off, so.
It's a new one on me. All right. Any other public comment concerning this agenda item?
Is this gonna be done by city crew?
Yes, it is, except for the asphalt, of course. We don't
Okay,
have
so
no
the city's
asphalt
gonna do
machine.
the bar ditches, do all
We're gonna
the
do all
grading
that.
work,
That's right.
but we're gonna contract out the asphalt.
Just
And
the laying.
The laying crew.
We will haul the asphalt like we always do, and then,
Okay, I didn't know
pay.
how that was done.
Yeah, we haul, and the county hauls and helps us out. And we haul the asphalt to the machine, and then we contract with a company
To run the
to run the
laydown
lay
machine.
machine on a day rate.
Okay,
So,
That's correct.
that's great.
okay. Just clarification.
All right. Any other comments? Ready for me?
I make a motion to approve, item number 9 to overlay, the project for South Portland Avenue, Southeast 24th Street, Southeast 16th Street. I'm sure those citizens in that area very much appreciate that.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 9.
Marcy White? Yes. Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 10, discussion and possible action on approval of asphalt overlay project on May Avenue, south of Highway 9.
May Avenue is in extreme poor shape. As most of y'all have probably seen, I think it's about a 2.5 mile stretch. When that road was built years ago by a county, when county actually took care of that and it was built, it was nothing more than basically a gravel base and then a couple of layers of chip seal that was put over it at the time. And that has completely broken apart. The base was never really stabilized as it should be. We've had multiple complaints about this road. It needs to be taken care of. And there was two estimates that was given to council in your packets. One is with a 4-inch asphalt construction and stabilizing the base, which I believe was, if I'm not mistaken, $292,000. The second quote or second estimate was $437,000 with 6 inches of asphalt, and of course the stabilization of the base. We've been putting rock in those areas down there right now to try to stabilize that. We've been doing it for about a month, and there's many areas that are stabilizing. I've been down there with the street superintendent, looked at that last week. But this needs to be taken care of, and I would recommend going with the 6-inch because there are a lot of trucks that use that roadway for travel. Whether it be dump trucks or oil field trucks, they're going through there. And we need to do something to construct this roadway where it will hold up to that type of traffic. We do have signs down there that, no more than 40,000 pounds. Our officers are not trained for that. They don't have the equipment for that to measure weights, which is typically handled by ODOT or OHP. And if we put, no more than 3 axles, well, then we still get the weight of a dump truck. So we just need to construct that road the way it needs to be.
I agree with the 6-inch, with an upgrade modification. I'm worried, no matter what, the oil field trucks are coming, they're supposed to be taking the route around to Blanchard and then back to Cole, and they're not. They're cutting through. They're just saving miles and stoplights. And I don't know how we're gonna stop this, to be honest with you, other than just get OHP out there or the load guys out there. Or maybe have a trained officer that's in this. That might be our option. I don't know. I mean, our officers are loaded with what they're doing right now as it is. But we've got to come up with something to cut. The county has allowed them to do it. They've rebuilt their road, spent millions of dollars down there on that road to make it an 8 or 10-inch base of asphalt. And, we're just going to be back at it again, I'm afraid, in 2 or 3 years, with a 6-inch, if we don't stop the trucks. One truck equals one 80,000-pound truck puts the same amount of travel as 1,500 cars. One pass.
Wow.
And until we get this resolved, this is going to be our issue on every road that we have.
Not that I want him to do this, so I apologize when I say it, but do we have a fine if they are caught doing it?
I don't think we do, no.
I mean, again, this goes back to the same thing with the cardboard boxes when we sit and babysit, but at the same time, having something in place, if we get some, a serious case of abuse, maybe helpful. I don't know.
They're going to cut through no matter what.
And we don't have the,
Well, they
we,
can pay
start getting hit with significant fines.
so we don't have the equipment, we don't have scales.
Right.
Portable scales.
Well, but if they're not going on the route though, we could still, it's not based on the weight, but based on the oil trucks in the route though.
Well,
And the old company just says, that's just our suppliers. We don't have to worry about it.
Well, then they're in charge of them though.
We can ticket them if they're not on the approved route.
Yeah, if we have an officer in there.
Again, yeah,
that's-
like I said, I apologize ahead of time for that, but.
Are some of these coming out of the Blanchard area that don't,
They're coming off the line, they're coming off coal.
yeah, but there's oil wells down further outside of our city limits
Right.
that we can't control. Are we controlling them to come up May Avenue, or they gotta go somewhere else? I don't know how we can control
Yeah.
something that's outside of our city limits and tell them where they can drive on our streets or not.
Well, the only thing that can be done basically on the city's part is to add that roadway to a no travel with, I believe it was DPS that I talked to. I've got 7 or 8 roads, 9 roads
Oh,
that are on no travel or no access
I remember
to
saying
oil
that.
traffic.
Yeah,
I don't know that May Avenue was ever done because it wasn't an issue at that point.
so. there's no
I added
making it worse
interior
here.
roadways.
Are we gonna take out, I've got the little guy on the ground on Google traveling down this thing. Are we gonna take out the spider webbed areas and rebuild that before we?
All of
just
it
dump
will be
asphalt?
Bomac,
Okay.
every bit of it.
Are they what?
Rototill, basically.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna
The big one.
fill up everything that's there?
Grind it up.
Everything that's there. That's the
Really?
plan, yes, sir,
Could do it right.
and do it right. Otherwise, we're just gonna run right back into the same issue. And it's about 2.5 miles worth of roadway to do that.
So we're taking it all the way to our city limits?
Yes,
All the way to the sign that the county put up, coming from the other way, that says county maintenance ends, where they paved.
Newcastle maintenance and.
So,
now there is a section, Joe, and I just now thought about this, as you go further north up there, I don't know how many hundreds of yards it is, or maybe it's a quarter of a mile, that's perfect.
that's true.
So that wouldn't be touched.
Okay.
It would be everything from there going south. I just now remember that piece.
First come off the highway, wouldn't it?
Yes, right when you come over.
When they straightened that up, took that job.
Right there by where the dishes are?
Right.
I agree with the 6 inch. I think that, like Michael says, if we don't, we're just gonna be that much sooner. But I think if we get a good base in there and we try to do some stuff to limit traffic, hopefully. Problem is, you can go through Blanchard pretty much, or you can go down May Avenue, or you can go down through 74.
Yeah.
Really, unless there's really no way to get there from here other than that, so.
How long's that area been in Newcastle?
10, 12, 10 years maybe? I don't know.
Is that part of the Oliver?
That's Oliver, yeah. Yeah. Is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 10, asphalt overlay project on May Avenue, south of Highway 9 with a 6-inch asphalt base. Is that how I say that?
6 inch overlay.
Over.
6 inch, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
A motion and second for approval of item number
Sorry.
10 with the selection of the 6 inch overlay.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Tommy Klein.
Yes.
Joe Covey,
Yeah.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes.
We got enough right of way to work in there?
We got 33 feet.
That's all we got.
That's all we had.
It might not be a bad idea to see if we could get a little bit more.
We might be able to get this to hair, but if we go too far to the east, we're gonna move a lot of fence.
Maybe we could get up to the fence.
Then go to the west.
That's, well, we could. That side's not ours, but
Pardon me?
some of it is not ours.
Oh, it's not Newcastle.
On the west side.
Some of it gets, it's Blanchard once you get past, is it EOSAT?
I think so.
After you get past that 80, that half mile depth that the EOSAT was there, that 80.
Yeah.
I think the west side turns to Blanchard.
Right.
How does that work? I mean, I'm sure Blanchard would not,
Huh.
They
not
would
at
not.
all, but it's their citizens that we have to get,
Right.
we have to work in conjunction with them.
Right.
You don't have to go through the city, just the people.
Somebody
that
needs to talk to Google.
Well, and I mean, we could, and John's estimated that we can get about 20 to 21 feet on that roadway. So right now, at this point, with no more homes or anything else that we have down there, do we really want to widen that road out to encourage more truck traffic?
True.
I don't know.
I just,
I'm sending a message we want them on it.
I think now, well, I don't know, you know, with limited development along that road, if we could maybe try to get any easement we could currently, that now might be the easier time to get it. But maybe not.
At least on our side.
Yeah, they were worth a shot anyway. Alright, so did we vote yet?
Nope.
Yes.
Yes, we did vote. Get them all?
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 11, discussion and possible action on designation of elected officials as delegates to the 911 ACOG Board of Directors and to the Intermodal Transportation Policy Committee. And I know you probably want to be back on intermodal, is that correct?
I do.
And I know that incoming Councilman Reed would like to serve on the 911 ACOG board.
No problem.
You're doing both of those at the current time.
Yes.
Can we appoint someone before they are a member of council, or do we need to wait till the May meeting?
When does their,
Next month.
is whenever they become officially? in
No, they
office?
swear in the 19th, I believe.
Right, they say elected officials is what they say.
So at this point in time, can we table this or continue this to our next meeting?
It can be tabled, no, we don't.
Or do we have to have,
Is there a cutoff date?
I think there's time.
You can change them up any
I was
time.
gonna say, you could probably change it, yeah.
Yeah, you can
Swap it out.
add or remove.
Let's see, the first meeting. Let's see, the next meeting is April 29th,
Yes.
so we could continue with
you can
Councilman,
keep the same ones.
Councilman Fullerton,
Oh,
until, and then we could address it again at the May meeting.
That'll be fine.
Make a motion to,
And I would like to make a motion that let Jean be my replacement when,
well,
if I can't make a meeting.
okay, we will do that
Okay.
in May as well.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to continue with, Councilman Mike Fullerton as our designated member of both the ACOG 911 and the Intermodal Transportation Policy Committee at this time.
Is that a motion? I'll second.
Motion second. Approval of item number 11, Councilman Fullerton.
Tommy Clay,
Yes.
Joe Covey,
Yes.
Marcy White, yes, Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 12, discussion and possible action on election of 2 nominees to serve as trustees of the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group. Do you have any recommendations, since this is something that pretty much you guys deal with
Me.
at City Hall?
I haven't heard of it either.
The biographical sketches are in your packet. We did receive 2 campaign letters that I put in your packet. One from Gerald Overy at Town Administrator for Manford, and the other from the City of Sand Springs, Mike Carter, City Manager. And as far as recommendations, I don't. The people I know are on there, so.
Mike Bailey is the incumbent from Bartlesville, City Manager, and Craig
I know him.
Stevenson, City Manager of Polka City, is the incumbent as well.
And I can vouch for Mike.
No issues with either one.
And Craig, I know. I don't know him well.
I don't know that, to my knowledge, we've had any issues at all with OMAG.
No. No, they've been really good to work with.
So,
All kinds of-
so I'll make a motion that we vote for the 2 incumbents,
Second.
Mike Bailey and Craig Stevenson. Motion second. Cast our ballots for Mike Bailey and Craig Stevenson for item number 12.
Joe Covey,
Yes.
Marcy White, yes, Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Tommy Clay,
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 13, discussion and possible action on adoption of ordinance number 788-A to correct legal description contained in ordinance number 788, rezoning a tract of land in the northwest quarter of section 20, township 9 north, range 4 west, Indian Red Indian, originally adopted on June 12th, 2017.
Bill, you want to go ahead and speak to this one?
Well, this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, this was discovered, well, when a deed approval was presented for a lot split, it was discovered that the legal description in the original rezoning ordinance of 2017 was missing the very last call, so the property did not close. And they discovered it at, well, when we were doing the deed approval, right? And then, we talked with the closing company and we told them that we would be correcting the ordinance so that, that would support our deed approval and lot split. And that's all we're doing, just correcting the legal description. It was just left off in the ordinance, the last call.
Make a motion for approval. of Item number 13.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 13.
Marcy White?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 14, discussion and possible action on adoption of the emergency clause of ordinance number 788-A.
Make a motion to approve, emergency clause ordinance number 788-A.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 14.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Marcy White?
Yes.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 15, discussion and possible action authorizing advertisement for bids for filter media replacement at the water treatment plant.
Same item.
Make the motion to approve item 15.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 15.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Marcy White?
Yes.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 16, discussion and possible action on approval of repair estimate for the Northwest 26th Street Water Storage Facility and authorization to proceed
So I make a motion to approve item 16.
with the selection of Elite Tires.
Elite Towers, for that quarter of amount approved in plan.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 16 for Elite Tires.
Joe Covey?
Yes.
Marcy White?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Tommy Clay?
Yes.
Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 17, city manager's comments.
A lot of amazing things happening right now, and a lot of, we're busy, we're extremely busy. Jeannie and I started budget work last week with all the department heads, and that still continues now. We also have the state of the city address that the mayor will be presenting at the end of this month, April 27th. We're putting that together. We've got a lot of good information in the PowerPoint that he'll be sharing with everybody. And we're still going along. A lot of good park stuff, personnel stuff. City is rocking and rolling, and we're glad to be a part of it.
All right. Item number 18, council member comments.
The trees look great at Veterans Park. And it's so much fun to drive by and see all the people out walking all the time.
Joe? We miss you, bud. I know you keep saying whatever. I miss you.
He's gonna be policing the recycle bin.
I'm getting ready to put a GoFundMe account together, you might.
No, but seriously, I've enjoyed your input.
I'm not going anywhere. I'll be around.
Joe, I do appreciate your review of the plans that you've always done.
If at all possible, I'd still like to have a gander at some of the plots when they come through. I know we got a new community development director, and I know she's got a lot of experience, but I'd still like to take a look at them from a surveyor standpoint. So I'll be talking to Kevin about that, see if that's a possibility.
He knows those angles. I just nod when you say the angles in the circle streets. I just nod. You know 'em.
Well, I hope that we are headed toward a point with this where we're not having to catch those at this meeting.
Mhm.
And so, I think we are very much headed that way and looking forward to that. But back off what others said, I'm real excited about what I see. And I thank you guys, because I know what I put into it, and all you guys do too, so appreciate you guys.
I will echo about the trees. 100 trees makes a lot of difference.
Doesn't it? They really are as big as promised. I was like, I think they'll really be that big, but they're gonna take some wind. They may not take a tornado, but they'll take some wind. I don't think any of our trees can take a tornado. They're the best looking trees in the city right now, because all the rest of them are flying. You know.
And you're putting in the budget, I understand, for 100 trees per year.
But yes, and we've already included $50,000 for this next year's budget. Now, that's preliminary right now. I don't want to say the budget is solid just yet because it's not. But we're putting those things in there and see where it comes out, and then I figure we'll have to make some adjustments and roll a few things back, but we're doing everything we can to keep it in there.
I'm assuming, we were very conservative this year, COVID. Assuming we're not being as conservative coming up.
No, and most of our department operations budgets are coming back up to pre-COVID levels is what we have, and some of them have actually increased a little bit, but not significant.
Right.
So we think we can head back towards pre-COVID levels on our operations budget.
And, who knows what the budgetary impact will be whenever the stimulus money stops flowing.
Yeah.
People may not spend as much on Amazon, and we've got built quite a bit of sales tax via online shopping this year, so that's all undetermined, so.
Has anything trickled down yet on that last bill, federal bill, where there was infrastructure for cities and municipalities yet? You heard anything?
I've gotten preliminary word, but it's not solid just yet, so I would rather keep that.
No, that's fine, but it's starting to come, you're starting to hear, they're starting to organize what they're gonna do with it and things like that.
They are.
Okay, awesome. That'd be great, whatever we can get would be good, so.
I don't want to put any false hope out there.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering if there was chatter going on in movement.
You did, that's it.
Under promise, over deliver.
Any last words, Mr. Kobe?
I've got a couple of things. First off, the curiosity, I looked up online while we were talking, and the water tower easement was given in 81 from March of 81 from Mr. Haney. So I presume it was built sometime after that. So it's 40 years old.
Yeah, you're a lot closer than what we are.
Somewhere. Something hit me the other day, because, and the reason it hit me is because I was looking to find out what one of our PUDs had, the restrictions, the provisions and stuff like that. I don't know that other cities do it, but when you go to look at a piece of zoning in most cities and it says it's single family or two family or multifamily, you can go to the city's code book and see what those provisions are. And this is probably a legal question for the attorneys. I'm not so sure that our PUD should not be codified into our zoning code, every single one of them, because nobody knows, other than just zoned PUD, what's the restriction on a piece of property. And the other thing is that if they're just held in a file cabinet somewhere or on digital format in the city, and something happens to that, where does all that information go to? Because I was trying to find out the ins and outs of a PUD that I was surveying a piece of property that had been zoned PUD. And I couldn't find it. I had to call down to the city to get it. But that's something probably that you and Ted need to look into. Should those PUDs, because they are a zoning district, they are a provision of their own, should they not be actually codified into our zoning code?
If they become ordinance.
Well, we passed an ordinance on that being a PUD, but as a part of that PUD, there are specific. I'm sorry, I have a feeling she's getting ready.
She's got a chance, Joe.
Okay, so with anything that's zoned a PUD, and we're working towards that on our mapping system as well, is that there will be a link to pull up those ordinances. I'm just gonna speak from where I've come from in Norman, as you know, those ordinances, when it's zoned PUD, it's zoned, you can look on our map and it'll say the PUD, and that's what most people do. What Norman does is it doesn't become codified as part of our regular zoning ordinance. They have to call and we have to look it up and do the research to provide them the information on that PUD narrative. Now, in the future, we hope to be able to scan those documents in, and there's a link that it says, we'll say more info. And you'll be able to click on that link and then pull up that PUD narrative and see what the zoning regulation is.
Okay.
We're moving in that direction.
Okay. Well, and that helps. The only thing that doesn't help is having to, and I'm not gonna take a lick at the city manager as I leave, but I hate our phone system. I hate that phone system with a passion, because I never can. Anytime it asks me to leave a message, then it cuts me off before I get my message left. And I hardly
You don't
ever.
say your name, do you?
Make a motion to adjourn. No, but I mean, really, that system sucks.
No,
It really does.
I get what you're saying.
And
There are calls that are directly coming to my phone right now.
One of them.
I'm getting caught off guard relatively often.
Yeah.
Mr. IT person.
No, and I know nothing's perfect, but that one's quite a ways from being acceptable to me.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I think we're still growing it, still.
There are some adjustments I think we can do to that phone system, because I don't think well, I know it's not like I want it to be.
No, it's, it leaves a lot to be desired. That's all I got.
So, yeah, anybody else? Any other council member comments? No. Thank you, Joe. It's been fun. And, like you said, I know we haven't seen the last of you, so.
With what?
I know we haven't seen the last of you.
No, you're probably gonna see more of me now than you did before, except for last month.
Bring cookies.
Yeah.
Don't wanna get accused of trying to bribe.
Yeah.
I've got accused of conflict of interest too many times as it is, so that's out the wall right now, so. But, no, it's been enjoyable. Not all the time, most time.
All right. No other council member comments. Item number 19 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second adjournment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.